we're back here and we've got our piece, and I've just set it up into the device here, and we're wanting to plane off that smallest section. Now we've got the line going the whole way around, and we want to be very intentional about holding the plane flat on this so that you've got a nice quality surface to run with. We could have set it up so we're doing all four at one, but it starts to be too much material to remove. Another reason we've got them tied together is because it's easier to hold them flat when they're taped together and there's two of them together rather than having one piece. In an ideal world, we'd probably cut 3 at a time, but we've only got 4 pieces that are needing it. I'm gonna open this up. You're gonna lower that all the way into the bottom of the vise. With our school vices, they're a 90mm vise, I believe, and so we've got 10mm sitting above. Now, before you throw anything into a vise, always check for screws and nails or anything that's going to dent your wood. Remember, students are not your friends. They do things that then mess up with your project. So you always got to be on the lookout for things that people may have done. Coming through, set that down. You want to have that tight. You don't need to over tighten and reef it around, but you want to make sure it's not going anywhere. From there, we'll get our plane, get into our power stance for the plane, and we've just gone through and checked to make sure it's doing a nice cut, which it was. Then we're going to come through and you're just going to push through, holding it flat. Now, as you can see, it makes these, just keep them out of the way. There's no need to throw them on the floor, but there's also no need to get rid of it. And as you're doing it, you need to be coming down and making sure you're not planing on an angle. And so as I was talking, I wasn't really focusing. You can see I've started to get a bit of an angle there, and that's not what we want. So coming back down, reset this up, coming back down, I'm gonna come back through and I'm gonna be very intentional, looking constantly to see how I'm planing. So I'm gonna come through and I'm holding it on a slight angle because one edge is cutting a bit more than the other so that I'm not gonna angle it too badly. It's also started to cut a bit thick. So it does happen sometimes. So just wheel this back just a quarter of a turn and see what happens. And we're getting very close here. And what I've done here, and I'm going to show you, is I've started to overcorrect. See how this side is now lower than this side? And that's okay because we're constantly working to ensure that we're getting the best cut. Do a cut, come back through, check it. This back side's looking really nice. I'm going to do 1 or 2 more passes just to get it nice and smooth. And that, for me, that's looking good, it's fine, and we'll sand out and fix anything up, any discrepancies up later. But what I want you to make sure it's not doing is if it's chipping out, try planing the other direction. So if for some reason the top of your timber is chipping out, it could be you're trying to take away too much at one time, or it could be that timber often planes better in one direction than it does in another. And so we're good to go from there. After you've done that, get your pieces out. They're good to go now, and we will progress to the next step. Make sure, of course, you're doing that for both pieces. What you do to one, you must do to the other.